Welcome back to another episode of the OfferMojo Show, where we talk all about crafting, scaling, marketing, and selling aligned and profitable offers. Recently, I made an Instagram post about the process that I use to gather information from clients so that I can share trust building case studies and testimonials. And honestly, I thought it was just another piece of content, but the host of one of the business communities I'm in asked me to do an entire presentation on it. And then last week, I started researching questions that my audience asks about offers and marketing, and this topic came up again. So I thought, what the heck? Let me just do a podcast episode on this. So if you've ever thought, I know my clients are getting great results, but it feels gross to talk about it online, this episode is for you. Honestly, I get it because there are tons of coaches and experts online that are overpromising and under-delivering, and none of us want to be that person. And you know exactly who I'm talking about. Maybe not any one specific person, but maybe a whole slew of them. So today I'm going to talk about how to stay deeply ethical and still let people see the very real transformation that's happening inside your work. You and I both know trust is so hard to build right now. And let's talk about why. Number one is that we are navigating a really strange online landscape. We have AI generated content everywhere. We have deep fakes. We have generic posts that all sound the same. So your people are scrolling through social media and they're thinking, okay, but who's actually real here? Who can I really trust with my money and my story? I can't even tell you the number of times that people have said to me, if I think this was written by AI, I'm not even going to read it. One person in my business community said, I don't know if I can trust this podcast host. It sounds like AI. I'm like, okay, cool. What does that even mean? Number two is the online market is saturated. Everyone is suddenly a business coach or a mindset coach or a nervous system strategist. And when 10 different people are using the same label, your clients are going, okay, cool, but who actually gets results and who just says they do? Number three is we're always staring at fake metrics. The bot followers, the I made 500K in 5 minutes screenshots. There are so many people on threads that have talked about how easy it is to create these screenshots using AI. And honestly, it creates this overall feeling of like, if you're talking about money or results, I'm immediately suspicious. And number four is that people are overpromising and under-delivering. Big, flashy claims with almost no proof, no reviews, no case studies, no nuance. Just trust me, it works. So if you're a thoughtful coach or an expert, you can feel all of that. And your value system tells you, I don't want to be a part of that mess. So in this episode, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to look at what does not work anymore when it comes to testimonials and client proof. Then I'm going to give you 3 simple questions that you can ask your clients that will help you pull out really grounded, powerful stories. And then we'll talk about different ways to share those stories in your marketing ethically and with consent. My goal for you is to know exactly how to talk about your results in a way that feels good to you. So let's start with the stuff that's just not resonating anymore. If you've been trying these strategies, this might be why they aren't working. The first one is the vague, fluffy testimonial. Let me give you an example from one of my own bank of client testimonials. This was one from a long time ago, but you'll hear how vague and fluffy this is. It says, Lori and her team are truly no short of amazing. If you haven't been able to achieve your business potential because you've been spread too thin, trying to market yourself, or you're working with the marketing expert in the past, but weren't wowed by your experience, stop what you're doing and set up a call with Lori. Okay, so it's very sweet, it's very kind, but it's completely unhelpful from a trust perspective. Your potential clients are wondering things like, well, what were they struggling with? What actually changed? Is that similar to my own situation? If all they see is Lori is so great, they can't make that connection. The second type that's not working is this braggy income inflated post. I talked about that earlier in the episode, that people are literally creating fake screenshots. And even if they are true, they aren't sharing anything about the actual situation, what it took to get them there, how much money or energy they spent getting there. It's just a way to hook the people that aren't making money. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of talking about money, and I don't do it very often. Now, of course, you can do what you want, but I just think that people are kind of checking out on this kind of client win. The third kind of client results that aren't working are exaggerated and unbelievable stories. This is where the transformation is so extreme with no time frame, no context, no explanation, that your brain like literally just like checks out. So if you're a sensitive and thoughtful buyer and someone was like, they were completely broke on Monday and by Friday they were millionaires, you're just like, okay, sure. Cue the eye roll here. So if these are the models you've seen, it makes like total sense that you're resisting talking about results. But remember, we need to build trust now more than ever. So I want to talk about what types of client results actually do build trust right now. Of course, nothing beats building relationships inside in-person or virtual communities, or having a network of people that can vouch for your work. But that's not the type of trust building that I'm talking about today. What I'm talking about is the stories and the results that we share online so that people can quietly observe before they actually enter your world. But before we can do that, we need to shift one primary belief. The old belief is sharing results is bragging, or it's manipulative, or it's going to lump me in with all the scammy online coaches and gurus. That belief, we just need to throw it out the window. The new belief that we want to have is sharing results is one way I help the right people feel safe and informed enough to make a good decision. When you look at it that way, you're not trying to convince everyone. You're giving the specific humans you're meant to serve enough context to say either, yes, this is for me, or no, this is not for me. It's actually just simply an act of building trust. So, what types of client results are working online today? Number one is nuanced, specific, emotional testimonials. Not just she is great, but here's what I was struggling with, here's what we did, here's what changed, and here is how I feel now. So I want to read you an example from one of my clients. Bradley is a dog trainer, and this is what he said. I'm going to read it verbatim. Before working with Lori, I was feeling frustrated and confused by the inconsistencies of running a small business. I constantly questioned what I was doing wrong. Through our work together, I realized that those ups and downs are actually a normal part of entrepreneurship. And with the right structure and strategy, I can keep the ship afloat even during slower months. Lori's process was incredibly clear and easy to follow. She brings a rare combination of focus, responsiveness, and genuine care for her clients. She doesn't just check boxes, she truly invests in your success. The entire experience felt like a collaboration that was built on clarity, trust, and support. Now I have an amazing new website that clearly communicates who I am and what I offer. But more importantly, I feel confident describing my work to potential clients because I finally understand and believe in the value of what I do. Lori helped me define my unique offer and why it's special, and that clarity has completely changed the way I show up in business. Number two is before, during, and after case studies, taking people on a journey from beginning to end with you. The third type of client results that works is short video interviews or audio clips with your clients. So letting people actually like see, hear, and feel the human on the other side of your work. And number 4 is behind the scenes stories of the work that you're doing with clients or even like with yourself. I personally, I love sharing stuff like this, like on Instagram stories or on threads. It's just very like spur of the moment, very spontaneous and just talking very casually about what you're doing. It's kind of just like a soft trust builder. All of these forms of proof say this is real, this is grounded, and this is what it looks like to be inside my world. And the great thing is, you don't need 1,000 of these. You just need like a few really good ones that demonstrate the results that you get with your clients. So now I want to give you a really simple way to pull those stories out of your clients without exaggerating anything. It's just 3 questions. You can send these in an email, you can put them in an intake or an offboarding form, or you can even ask them like live on a call. Here are the 3 questions. Number 1 is, what were you feeling or struggling with that prompted you to reach out for support? So this question, it gives you the before picture, like the context. This is where I was when I found you. What you really want here is feelings and specifics. So let's look at an example from a few of my clients. Before working with Lori, I was feeling frustrated and confused by the inconsistencies of running a small business. I constantly questioned what I was doing wrong. And here's another one. Before working with Lori, I was struggling to talk about what I do. I knew I needed a more aligned offer ecosystem and a higher quality freebie, but every time I tried to work on it, I felt overwhelmed. I had worked with a coach on how to package my offers, but didn't feel she was invested. I didn't know how to package my expertise. Question 2 is, what did we do together during our work? And what was your experience like during the process? This is where we want them to talk about the process and what they really liked about working with you. Here's an example from one of my clients. Lori's process was incredibly clear and easy to follow. She brings a rare combination of focus, responsiveness, and genuine care for her clients. She doesn't just check boxes, she truly invests in your success. The entire experience felt like a collaboration that was built on clarity, trust, and support. So now people know what it feels like to work with you. And then the last question, question 3, is, what are you feeling now, or what has changed in your life or business as a result of our work? And now we're getting to the after, the emotional shifts and the practical outcomes. Here's an example. I had been afraid to niche down, but now I'm more confident and able to advertise my expertise. I have a much higher quality lead magnet I'm excited to launch. I feel a lot more confident talking to leads and quoting them based on the work we've done together. Before, I was constantly doing custom proposals and estimating service cost. I also have a ready-made brand messaging and positioning guide I can use across the board for my newsletter, blog, and social media. I wish I had met her sooner. Now, I want to encourage you to start gathering this information. If you're not already, start gathering this information from your clients. You can literally copy these 3 questions and send them to 1 to 3 past clients this week. All you have to do is just put together like a little simple email, just read off a little example for you. Like, hey, Mary, I loved our work together and I'm putting together some client stories so people can get a better feel for what it's like inside my world. If you're open to it, I would love to hear your answers to these 3 questions. No pressure at all if you'd rather not share, and you can keep anything as anonymous as you like. Then paste the 3 questions. Now, once you have this information, there are 5 different ways that you are going to share these wins. The first is a blog style case study. This is where you, assuming, of course, that you have a blog, but this is where you're going to take one client and walk people through their before, during, and after, like in a little more detail. You talk about where they started, what you did together, what changed, and you might actually even include like a few direct quotes from them. The second is a really strong written testimonial. So ask your clients those 3 questions that I gave you and then draft them into a client testimonial. Oftentimes, like what I do is I either volunteer to write it for them and get their approval, or I just tell them to submit their answers and you'll put it together into testimony that they can sign off on. Because let's be honest, like people are busy. They don't always want to take the time to write a testimonial. It's not that they don't see that your work was amazing. It's not that they don't like you. It's just like, I don't know how to write a testimonial. I have so many other things on my plate. And so if you can just get that information out of them and write it for them and say, hey, this is what I saw in, the work that we did together. Tell me if this sounds okay for you. More often than not, they're like, oh my God, that sounds great. So put these testimonials in strategic places on your sales page or on your offer docs, in your emails, on social media, basically anywhere that you know people will see them. And one of the things that I like to do is if you're writing about a particular transformation, if you can like attach another testimonial that like describes a client that went through that transformation, it's amazing. Or like if you've got a particular sales page, you obviously want to put in testimonials of clients that went through that actual program. The third way to share these is a social media client story, like in a carousel. So slide 1 could be the before moment, almost like a thought bubble or like a hook that that your ideal client's going to resonate with. And then the middle slides will walk them through like what you did together, maybe, a few bullet points of the outcomes. And then the last slide shares their results, and just a simple CTA that sounds, just says something like, if this sounds like you, this is exactly the work that we do in, and then put your offer. So it's like a really kind of a soft way to say, okay, this is the transformation that happened inside this offer. This sounds like something I'd really want to do. Let me go check out this offer. It's just a gentle way to allow people to see themselves as a potential client. The fourth way is a video where you break down your process using a client story. You can say, for example, let me show you what it looked like to go from offer confusion to a clear 6-figure path for this client. You don't have to share their name if you don't have permission, but you can still take people behind the scenes of the journey. And then the last way to share is those little spur of the moment things that your clients send you. Screenshots of the client wins that are sent like in Voxer, Slack, text message, DMs, or like even your email. A lot of times people will just say, oh my God, I'm so excited about this. And it's just something that's on their mind. Like when I first started working with one of my clients, she just constantly was sending like Voxer messages and like, oh my God, I'm so grateful I found you. And little things like that can be captured, kind of stored away, and then even used inside your client case studies. Again, you want to blur the names if you don't have permission. Remove any identifying details, and always, always ask, are you okay with me sharing this screenshot in my marketing with your name blurred? You can usually tell that these screenshots are real, and they allow your audience to see what people are saying about you or the results that they're experiencing. Now, we cannot talk about sharing client results without talking about consent and ethics. For me, the relationship with your client always comes before the content, and there are real legal constraints on sharing this information. As a matter of fact, I have a podcast episode coming up in April with Natalie Puglisi, and she's an online business attorney, and we go into like great detail about all of this. It's actually kind of scary what you can get in trouble with. One of the easiest ways to handle this is to make asking for testimonials and stories part of your normal offboarding process. For example, at the end of a program or a project, I send all of my clients a thank you email with a request for feedback form. And on that form, I include the 3 questions that we just talked about, and then I include a clear permission section. Something like, are you comfortable with me sharing parts of your story in my marketing with or without your name attached? And then I give them like options that they can choose. Yes, use my full name in business. No, but please keep it first name only or anonymous. No, please keep this for internal use only. And then you explicitly say, you are absolutely free to say no, and it will not impact our relationship at all. The other piece here is being careful with what you share, even when you have a yes. If there are details that feel really vulnerable or there's like significant trauma in their story, we don't need to put all of that on the internet. You can just zoom out a little, you can generalize, you can say a client instead of using their name. It's so important to have integrity and honor your client's privacy and experience. So now what I want to do is I want to give you like a tangible example of like everything we've been talking about. I'm going to tell you a bit about my client, Alana. And yes, I have permission to share her story. And she worked with me in my OfferMojo studio program. Before she and I worked together, Alana put it really simple. She said, I'm struggling to talk about what I do. Her social posts were falling flat. She had this one freebie that was not really pulling in the kinds of leads that she wanted. Every time she sat down to work on her offers, she ended up overwhelmed because she didn't understand how to package her expertise. She'd even worked with another coach before, but she didn't feel like that coach was really invested in her work, and nothing really stuck. Inside the OfferMojo studio, we went deeper. Yes, we cleaned up the messaging, but we also realized her whole offer ecosystem was misaligned. She was positioning herself as just another system strategist in a very crowded space and trying to sell ongoing retainers straight from social media or business communities. So we started with her superpower. What lit her up was the client journey, helping people like bridge that gap from lead magnet to onboarding, client delivery, offboarding, and re-engagement. We repositioned her as a client journey systems architect. That language alone completely shifted things for her. From there, we built out her whole ecosystem. We created a high quality lead magnet, a custom GPT that she was actually excited to launch. We designed a low ticket system snapshot session. We mapped a mid-tier workflow wizard offer, and we built her core premium client journey architecture build package. And then we wrapped it all in a brand messaging guide so that she had plug and play language for her website, her emails, and her socials. After our work together, she was showing up in a completely different way. She felt confident quoting her offers instead of estimating everything on the fly. She had this clear, natural path for people to walk from her freebie all the way into her premium work. And what I love most is how she described it. I'd been afraid to niche down, but now I'm able to clearly advertise my expertise. I have a higher quality lead magnet I'm excited about, and I finally have a messaging guide I can use everywhere. So now let's just tie this back to the framework that I have been talking about through this whole episode. If you listen to that, you can hear the 3 questions in there, right? We have the before. I do not know how to talk about what I do. My content is not landing. I was afraid to niche. We have the during. We mapped my ecosystem. We repositioned me. We built my offers and messaging. And we have the offer. I feel confident. I'm not custom pricing. I have a clear path to 6 figures, and I know how to talk about my work. So if you're listening to Alana's story and you're thinking, okay, I need that level of clarity in my offers, and I want stories like that to tell, that's exactly the work that we do together inside my OfferMojo studio. We go deep. We get specific on your positioning. We build the framework for your core offer, and we map your entire offer ecosystem. Then we dive into messaging and brand identity, build a visibility plan to get your offers in front of the right people, and you walk away with sales assets that help you sell with integrity. It's a complete done for you program that helps you build a business that scales. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link Alana's full case study in the show notes so you can just see what a blog style version of her story looks like, and just how one client journey can become such a powerful marketing asset. All right, let's land this plane now. We talked about why trust is so hard to build online right now with AI noise, saturation, fake metrics, and big promises with little proof. We identified what's not working anymore: vague testimonials, braggy income posts, and over the top stories that feel unbelievable. We reframed sharing results as an act of building trust, not self promotion. And you now have a simple 3-question framework to pull grounded, emotional, specific stories from your clients. We walked through 5 different ways to share those wins, from blog case studies to carousels to screenshots, in a way that honors your people. And we talked about consent and privacy as non negotiables. So here's your next step for the next 24 to 48 hours. Pick 1 to 3 clients that you absolutely loved working with. Send them a quick note with those 3 questions. Don't overcomplicate it. You can just use the little script that I shared earlier. Let them know that there's zero pressure and give them options around anonymity. Then take one of those responses and turn it into a short testimonial or a post. Remember, you don't need to wait until you have a perfect library to start. Just start with one story told really well and just keep building. All right, my friends, that's it for today. I hope that today's episode was the little nudge that you needed to start getting trust-building client results and stories in place for your business. Now is the time. You know, it's harder. Buyers are more like discerning right now. It's harder to convert people. These types of stories is what's going to help build trust. So don't forget to check out that case study in the show notes, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.